I have been covering what I believe are some of the best ETFs for maximizing dividend income and minimizing downside risk. Now, a few months ago, I put out a video on a brand new fund from JP Morgan, and I said it had the potential to outperform some of the most popular high-income ETFs on the market, funds like QQQI, JEPQ, and GPIQ. But at that time, the fund had only been out for a few weeks. So today I'm coming back to it because there are some crucial updates we have to talk about, and the numbers have gotten a lot more interesting since I first covered it. There are 3 areas I will be focusing on: total returns, management style, and tax efficiency. Tax efficiency is arguably one of the most important factors to consider when evaluating high-income ETFs, and JP Morgan has finally caught on to the trend with their new fund. You see, the majority of these ETFs use option strategies such as covered calls to generate premium income, which is then distributed to investors as dividends. If the fund is not structured in a tax-efficient manner, those dividends will largely be classified as ordinary income, and you can lose up to 37% of that income strictly based on your tax bracket. So if you're building a portfolio centered around income generation, then stick around because this video is worth your full attention. The ETF we're talking about today is ROCQ, the JP Morgan Nasdaq Equity Premium Yield ETF. When I first covered this ETF, I made a bold claim that it had the potential to outperform some of the most established names in the high income space. Since then, the performance data has started to roll in and it is backing up that thesis. When I first reviewed ROCQ, it had just crossed $100 million in assets under management. Today, that number sits at roughly $350 million, tripling in about a month's time. That says a lot about investor confidence. It also means that the fund is becoming significantly more liquid, making it much easier to buy and sell without incurring large transaction costs. Since inception, ROCQ has returned around 12%, significantly outperforming peers like QQQI and JEPQ. That is nearly double JEPQ's return in the same window. Now, it is not a clean sweep. The one fund ROCQ is currently trailing a little is GPIQ, and I want to explain why, because it tells you something important about how the fund is managed. Keep in mind, this is a high-income ETF with a yield of around 10 to 12%. But if you look on Seeking Alpha, you will only see 2%, and that is strictly because the fund has not been around for a full calendar year yet. When you look at the fund's dividend yield chart, you'll notice it's rising in steps, and that will continue happening until a full 12 months has passed. You can see the same thing happening with QQQI and GPIQ as well. And Seeking Alpha is the only platform that provides these types of charts, along with details on dividend health scores, dividend growth, and YOC charts, which, for those that don't know, is the most effective tool, in my opinion, to spot a dividend trap. But there's also so much more to explore, from in-depth fund analysis and historical returns to AUM trends. I personally use Seeking Alpha every single day for my videos and for the ETF analysis process. If you want to use the same tools I use, you're in luck because Seeking Alpha's summer sale has officially started. You can get $75 off their premium plan, and that gives you access to all of the same charts and tools I use. So definitely check it out, don't miss out. You can use the link in my description or scan the QR code on screen to get access to the discount. You can also get $124 off their Alpha Picks portfolio, or $173 off their Alpha Picks and Premium bundle. I have been using both for about 3 years now. Alpha Picks is their quant-driven stock portfolio that uses quant and momentum metrics to find potentially powerful long-term growth names, which I personally use to complement my ETF portfolio. And the portfolio is now up 400% versus the S&P 500's 100%. They have so far caught the trend in names like Micron, Celestica, Credo Tech, and AMD well before they boomed. Of course, past performance does not guarantee future results. Definitely check it out and take advantage of the sale while it lasts. Again, you can scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description to get access. And big thank you to Seeking Alpha for sponsoring this video. All right, circling back to ROCQ. Contrary to what most people assume, ROCQ does not simply replicate the QQQ and sell covered calls against it. It only holds 95 positions, and the managers are making active allocation decisions throughout the portfolio. This is very similar to JEPQ and is very different from a fund like QQQI, which does replicate the Nasdaq 100 and sell covered calls against it. Looking at the top holdings, there are familiar names like Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, Google, and Meta. But if you scroll further down, the differences become clear. You will see meaningfully different weightings in names like AMD, Palantir, and Cisco, and different allocations to names like PepsiCo that you simply would not find in QQQI. And that active stock selection is both one of ROCQ's biggest strengths and the reason for the slight gap versus GPIQ. We saw this play out in mid-May during a concentrated wave of profit taking. ROCQ's heavier weighting in certain positions caused it to fall more than its peers during that stretch. But in the recent market sell-off in June, ROCQ suffered less drawdowns relative to GPIQ and QQQI. This is the honest reality of active management. In a broadly rallying market, concentrated bets can work slightly against you. But in a choppy or sideways market, that same flexibility can add real value. And we actually saw this play out with JEPQ. Starting around October 2025, as the market shifted into a more sideways and choppy trend, JEPQ's active management allowed it to meaningfully outperform funds like QQQI by more than 5%. So the gap between ROCQ and GPIQ makes sense to me. It is not a structural flaw. It is active management doing what active management does. Now here's what I really like about ROCQ. It combines two very important characteristics: the active management style of JEPQ, which has proven to be extremely effective, but with options flexibility. And this is something JEPQ lacks. Here's what I mean. You see, ROCQ uses regular index options, just like QQQI. This is what gives the fund its tax efficiency, but also the ability to appreciate more in value. This is the part that many investors miss. JEPQ uses something called ELNs, equity-linked notes. They function similarly to covered calls, but they are not tax efficient. And more importantly, they are not flexible. You cannot roll them over like a regular covered call. So when the market rallies beyond what the managers expect, the fund can significantly lag. And we saw this during the recovery of 2025, where JEPQ trailed its peers by roughly 5%. And again in recent months, where the gap widened to anywhere from 6 to 10%. ROCQ does not have that problem, and hence it has been able to crush JEPQ. But remember, it does carry the active management style of JEPQ, potentially creating a complete package. Now, the expense ratio is the most overlooked part of the story. ROCQ charges just 0.35%, which is nearly half of what QQQI charges. Say you invest $100,000 into each fund, and both deliver an identical 8% annual return before fees. In the fund charging 0.68%, your ending balance after 30 to 40 years comes out to roughly $1,880,000. In the fund charging 0.35%, that same $100,000 grows to approximately $2,210,000. That is a $330,000 difference from nothing other than the fee you are paying. And that gap only widens the more you invest. Now, let's talk about tax efficiency, because ROCQ was JP Morgan's way of announcing that they have caught onto the trend that's reshaping this entire space. They have made it so obvious that they literally named the ticker ROCQ, as in return of capital. I've said this many times, it doesn't matter how high the yield is, it is about how much of that income you are actually keeping. To put it in perspective, JEPQ returned 77% over the last 3 years, with 48% distributed as dividends. On a $100,000 investment at a 30% tax bracket, you would owe $14,400 on those dividends alone, bringing your real return down from 77% to 62.6%. That is nearly 15 percentage points wiped out. Modern high-income ETFs have found a way around this using return of capital, or ROC. Instead of distributing income, the fund returns a portion of your invested capital, which is not immediately taxed. It is tax-deferred until you sell or until your adjusted cost basis reaches zero. Say you invest $100,000 into a fund with a 10% yield paying 100% ROC. In year one, your $10,000 distribution reduces your cost basis from $100,000 to $90,000. Year two, it drops to $81,000, and this continues until your ACB hits zero, at which point you begin paying long-term capital gains on remaining distributions. The ability to defer those taxes is a massive advantage. Just make sure that you are tracking your adjusted cost basis at all times. So ROCQ uses regular index options in order to distribute dividends as return of capital. Now, side note, they are also using call spreads. A call spread involves buying and selling call options simultaneously to capture more upside along the broader market. So overall, you get tax efficiency, options flexibility, and active management all in one fund. And that combination is part of why ROCQ has nearly doubled JEPQ's returns since inception. Now, JP Morgan also released a sister fund, ROCY, which uses the same strategy but with S&P 500 exposure. And it's also a great ETF, but in my opinion, it's best suited for investors who want less risk and more diversification. I'll cover it in detail in one of my next videos, so stay tuned and make sure you guys press the little notification bell button. Now, one thing to keep in mind before sizing in is that ROCQ is still heavily concentrated in large cap tech. The covered call strategy and active management provide some cushion, but it doesn't eliminate that underlying exposure, something worth being mindful of in today's environment of sky-high tech valuations and AI bubble fears. But the overall picture here is that JP Morgan has finally entered the tax-efficient high-income space with a strategy that combines active management, standard options flexibility, and ROC distributions. And the performance is backing up the thesis. And that is all for this one. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye! This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not financial, investment, tax, or legal advice. Discussions of ETFs, investing strategies, market updates, or specific funds are general, not tailored to your financial situation, and should not be relied upon for decision making. Investing involves significant risks, including total loss of principal, and past performance does not guarantee future results. I am not a registered financial advisor. My content reflects personal research and publicly available information. I may earn affiliate commissions from mentioned products or links disclosed per FTC guidelines, but these do not influence my opinions. Always consult a licensed financial professional and verify information independently. By watching this, you agree I am not liable for any losses or consequences from your actions. International viewers should consult local regulations.